I take the two together, because the two concern to one person, and that's the nomination of Dungarvan Town Council and Dungarvan County Council. And the four councillors have nominated Councillor Brendan Mansfield. And Brendan, I hope you said both nominations. I now put the ratification for both Dungarvan Town Council and Dungarvan County Council to the floor. All those against? Brendan, unanimously elected to the vote.
Thank you, Lord. I'll keep it short and sweet. I think that's covered most of everything has to be said anyway. In accepting this nomination, I'm not doing it for myself, I'm doing it on behalf of the Joe MacDonald and the Scotty Cumming and the O'Reilly and McAwee coming from the Gaeltacht, because I think the important thing to remember is we as councillors are not individuals. The seats are not ours. The party has the seats. The party seats, when we go in there, we're working for Sinn Fein, we're not working for ourselves. I suppose in 2004, when I was elected onto the town council and the county council, I think I was one of the youngest ever elected, certainly in Waterford, whatever about the country, and I suppose it was hard. And to tell you a short story of what you find in council chambers, the first meeting I went to, members of main political parties tried to dictate to me, tell me where I'd sit in the chamber, and I told them where they could go and stick their seats. I'd sit anywhere I really wanted to sit. But I think over the past 4.5, 5 years, both Dave, Joe and myself have done our best in the council. That's the only promise we ever made to anybody, to do our best. But we have an educated electorate. They see that. I think we have a lot of the hard work done. A lot of other councils don't come knocking on people's doors. They haven't seen them in 5 years. Where have they been hiding? They've seen us beating on their doors. They're probably nearly fed up with seeing us on the doors at this stage. I suppose as a public representative, I suppose developed a bit of notoriety or reputation, I suppose, for saying it as I see it. And that might not be popular, but it's not a popularity contest. I'm in there, as Pat said, to fight for the ordinary person. The person's on shift, I come back in on shift tomorrow, I do night work. A lot of people here do shifts, it's a struggle to survive. Like Skeleton Time, I left a lot of people behind us. They're spiralling housing lists, they're going up and up every year. I suppose David said that it's hard being in the council chamber on your own, but I suppose the thing I always said, I've never been on my own in the council chamber, because when I go in and take my seat, the spirit of the Republicans who have gone before us from this county to my own town, some of my own friends, and the likes of Kevin Lynch and Bobby Sands, they're behind me every day I went to the council chamber. And I suppose the important thing to say is you can't build for the future unless you know your past. And Bill said it, we have a rich Republican past in this county, and two loom balls outside the special branch should be off tackling criminality, but we're in for a few soft hours overtime, taking a few photos of us. They must have a gallery of me at this stage, because they're taking the rest of the country and doesn't bother me about the posts from it before. I think everybody sees what their political masters are doing, beating ordinary people off the roads or Rossport. And that's a disgrace, and I pledge myself that solidarity to them. And will you allow his questions to answer as well, as to why there was a British submarine spotted off the west coast of Ireland in protecting the ship in our territorial waters? And he has to answer those questions. And what they're doing in Rossport, ordinary people who are out defending their own communities, nothing short of disgraceful, and bring this country back to the 1920s. I also want to give a quick mention to a man who travelled down tonight. He was a friend of my late grandfather, Francis Slattery. And Francis is the chairman of an association in West Waterford IRA Brigade Association, who for the past 80 years, in difficult times, they went out and held an Easter commemoration every year. And I think it's worthy, and I'd like that he get a round of applause for travelling down the road. I suppose the next big date in the Republican calendar will be in November, when the same association and a local committee will unveil a monument in Hilltown in West Waterford, where one of the most famous ambushes in the county took place during the 20s. On the 1st of November, 2nd of November, I think, when in retaliation for the hanging of Kevin Barry, the active service units of the IRA went out across the country an ambush with his force. And the one in Waterford stands out, and the reason it stands out was for the courage, the discipline that was shown by the brigade, because they captured I think 30 to 40 British soldiers, and they could have slaughtered them, but they didn't. They took their boots off and told them to walk home. And when they said walk home, they didn't mean Dungarvan, they didn't mean God, they said walk home thinking of themselves. I think everybody else mentioned, and I should especially mention, I want to pay special thanks to my family as well, because they've always stood by me when I was away on holidays there, and there was a new addition to our family, a new little nephew, Dara, who arrived a bit early and is still out in WRH, will be there for a while, but I'm delighted to be an uncle as well tonight, so I have to mention him. And I suppose my long-suffering fiancée, Sinead, she stuck by me, she puts up with me the good days and the bad days, and I suppose if it wasn't for her dad as well, or late dad Dennis Scott, I mightn't be here today, so I think it's worthy to give him a mention as well. But it's going to be a hard fight. They've reduced the Dungarvan County area from a 7-seater to a 6-seater. I think they thought after the last general election they'd smashed Sinn Fein. I'm looking around tonight, they haven't smashed us. Bergie, go.